Welcome to Derry episode 2. My reaction, my thoughts, my breakdown. Highly impressed with this episode. The fact that we're really able to juggle so many plots and storylines between different characters and flush them out narratively was absolutely fantastic. First off, I'd like to say poor Ronnie. Poor Ronnie. I mean, she cannot catch a break in this series this far. I am feeling for her. Even Lily, too. Lily is going through it. Pennywise, you are a mother effer. This episode was crazy, disgusting, too. Like, on some levels where I was, like, feeling anxiety and claustrophobia. That's my biggest thing is claustrophobia. So when Ronnie was stuck in the wound and, reimagining and reliving that whole fucking life, it was freaking me out because I was like, oh God. Or even when Lily was in the grocery store, surrounded by all those goddamn jarred pickles, I was absolutely terrified because I deal with claustrophobia myself. But this episode, you guys, was absolutely fantastic. They covered a lot. There was a lot of key points, and the overview for this episode was absolutely terrific. The aftermath of the massacre, that was explored. Ronnie's vision and her trauma, like I stated, with her being reborn again, absolutely just terrifying. Or Lily's ordeal and the fact that we get confirmation that she was in, an institution was absolutely crazy. Or the Hanlon family. We get more from that particular story that's really interesting, that's actually going places. And we got to talk about the racist ass town in Derry. First and foremost, did you guys catch the Bowers on the chief of police's window? So that's Henry Bowers' grandfather. I was like, oh, this shit runs deep. And his son ended up becoming a cop as well. But then there's new friendships and relationships and bullying, which absolutely I hate. Poor Will is going through it at school. I'm like, oh, this is absolutely insane. And of course, the cliffhanger, you guys. The cliffhanger at the end of this episode, which absolutely, it's very open-ended. I don't know what to expect. I'm like, so what are they looking for in particular? Are you looking for this entity called Pennywise? It seems like all the adults in Derry knows what's going on in Derry. They understand some weird shit is popping off. Even with the missing children and all that stuff. Things are getting weird. I just want them to address it. Like, it's not just one person doing that. And I feel like poor Ronnie's father, the fact that, the Capitol is now closed and, Ronnie's father, the projectionist, is being blamed for the death of the kids. I was like, you guys are some assholes. And he was like, if you want to keep your position, we need to get this colored man out of here. We need to get this Negro, we got to get him in jail. He did it. Even though there's no evidence. But that's the time we're living in. It's 1962. The racial differences and, discrimination and all that thing. That shit was extremely, extremely real back then. But they did some wonderful stuff with this episode. The visual effects and the practical effects, too, were really, really awesome to see. I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. So like I said, the aftermath of the massacre from the very first episode. So this episode confirms that the theater massacre was real. Not just a dream. Not just a dream. It was real. So Hank Grogan, the theater projectionist, Ronnie's father, becomes the prime suspect, largely due to the racial bias from the local police and town council. So it seems like everybody wants his ass in jail for something he didn't do. There's no proof of it whatsoever. And now Ronnie has to live that life with her father, knowing that her father did not do this. She doesn't want him locked up. She just experienced some traumatic shit with her, with her, group of friends or whatever. With Lily, the only two survivors, Ronnie and Lily, the only two survivors. So now that she has to think of that. And, in the back of her head, is my father going to go to jail? Is he going to be going to jail for a crime that he did not commit? He did not do. And then Ronnie's vision and trauma. So Ronnie is tormented by a horrific vision where she is rebirthed from a monstrous version of her deceased mother, who blames Ronnie for her death in childbirth. Attached with an umbilical cord, Ronnie, oh my God, you guys, being stuck in that womb, the umbilical cord, and seeing a brief glimpse of Pennywise, that must have been so traumatic for Ronnie. Think about it. Like, she was a child. She was a baby when her mother died giving birth to her. And now she's reliving that with a subconscious of where she actually understands what's happening in the moment. It's wild to me. It's absolutely crazy. That was so well done. It's just disgusting. It was so gross. The umbilical cord, she had to like bite that shit off. And like her mom was like, you did this to me. Come back here. Give me a kiss. I just wanted to hold my baby. I was like, oh my God. This is some traumatic shit. Wonderful sequence. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful sequence. And then we have Lily's ordeal, right? And what she's going through. So Lily faces the pressure from the police to confirm Hank's involvement. They are trying to corner her and pressure her into saying that it was Hank who did these murders. And the way they do it is absolutely on some bullshit. Like, oh, so you have a brief history with a mental asylum. I think you go back there. I think you go back and you spend a couple of days there. And she's like, no, that whole experience was traumatic for her because of her father and what happened to her father. So she breaks. She was like, no, whatever you want me to do, I'm sorry. Like, do not send me back to that asylum. It's called Jupiter Hill Asylum. She's like, absolutely not. So she's absolutely terrified. She ends up breaking, saying that, the dad did it. He gets arrested. Ronnie's mad. She's like, where you at? What you say to get my dad put in jail, you lying beep? Surprised she didn't go all like that. But rightfully so. She's upset. She should be upset. That's her father, and she understands. She saw when Lily was taken away at school by the police. She's like, okay, something's happening that's related to me and my father. What's going to go down? Absolutely insane. Absolutely. So Lily gets away, right? She's going shopping for her mom. And boy, oh boy, this grocery store, this ain't like an Amazon Fresh, ain't like a Vons, a John's, a Trader Joe's. This is on some demonic shit. Like, everything is closing in on her. Everybody's acting weird, staring at her. Fools, coming out of the corner like, ooh. I'm like, oh, Pennywise has infested this entire grocery store. And it's terrifying. So she's starting to notice things. Even hearing things, in the back of her head, like, you should go to, you should be in the asylum, or, on some weird shit, right? She's just hearing things. And then all of a sudden, slowly but surely, things start closing in on her. And now she's surrounded by 4 walls of pickle jars, which I hate pickles. I'm sorry, if you're a pickle lover, you are just disgusting. Pickles on a burger is absolutely nasty. I always got to peel them off. It's gross. But that's not the point. She gets surrounded by these pickle jars. And all of a sudden, one pickle jar just, starts doing this thing. And it's a face. It's her father. Body pieces all throughout these pickle jars. Just disgusting. She's like, oh my God. And she breaks it. And then they all drop on the floor. And then, she gets, wrapped up in this umbilical cord or whatever. And she's like stuck. And then all of a sudden you see these nasty ass body parts coming together to go after her. They're like, yeah, did you want a little kiss? Come here. Yeah. Just like, oh, hell no. Absolutely traumatic. Lily and Ronnie are going through some traumatic shit. Pennywise is going in for the deep cuts, and he is cut. It's absolutely insane. So that whole experience happens, and she ends up being put back into Jupiter Hill Asylum by her mother. And you could just see the sadness, the frustration. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because you can only imagine what she's going to go through in there, being stuck with Pennywise, manifesting whatever kind of deep, crazy fears he's able to create. Absolutely insane. So I love, that whole aspect of, Lily and her backstory. What's really interesting to me was the whole Hanlon family. The Hanlon family. So Major Leroy Hanlon investigates the staged attack on him from the first episode and proves the suspect Masters is innocent. So he was attacked in the first episode, and he does his own investigative reporting. And, the person they got in, it was false. He falsely lied, saying that he did attack Hanlon, right? For some hidden agenda. And the way he does it with the pistol, I was like, damn, this brother's brilliant. No wonder you're in the military. I was like, you are a brilliant man. And then General Shaw reveals, due to the orchestrated test that he did on Hanlon, which was really interesting to me. I thought that whole orchestrated, I did it. I wanted to test you to see just how great you are because of an injury he had sustained in war. A man without fear is what he said, making him the perfect asset for Operation Precept. This top military project aims to find any weaponized, and the entity, find and weaponize the entity in it used in the Cold War. So that's ultimately what they're trying to find. They're trying to find this hidden weapon that landed in Derry years ago. They want to use this particular weapon for some nefarious reasons. I feel like there's going to be something hidden. There's going to be another hidden agenda of why they want this particular weapon. And what they find, you guys, the cliffhanger was absolutely crazy. So the episode ends with Dick Halloran and the military team at the dog site, unearthing a buried vehicle containing several skeletons, confirming they are close of the entity's location. So just what are they going to find? Like, this is going to now predate and go back 27 years, all the way to 1908 to when he first came to Earth, which is really interesting to me. You know, I at first, I really wasn't feeling this whole Hanlon military thing. I was like, okay, cool, whatever, they're moving. I was like, okay, whatever. But now things are slowly starting to unravel, and now you get to really see what's truly going on in Derry and what they're trying to find. It's really interesting to me. Like, now I'm like really intrigued by this particular plot point in this series thus far. And I like Will. Will's a bright young kid. I feel like, it's... Sadly enough, you guys, Will does die. If you've seen It Chapter 1, it's all explained, but I don't, it's going to be sad. It's not like we're going to see that, because this takes place in 1967. He dies probably in his mid-30s or whatever. This is probably what, I want to say 10 years after he had Mike Hanlon, his son, but we're not going to get into that, but it's going to be interesting. This episode was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it, man. I took some extensive notes. I really, really loved what I saw from episode 2. I can't wait to see where we go with episode 3. A new core group of characters with, Lily and Ronnie, and now Will. And it looks like, Will is going to be attaching, himself to the kid who's obviously very friendly in class, Rich. I'm digging it. An absolutely phenomenal episode. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about it. Welcome to Derry, episode 2. Thoughts and opinions. What was your favorite plot point of this episode thus far? Was it the whole Ronnie and her dad, or Lily, or the Hanlon family? Honest thoughts and opinions, you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And of course, thank you guys for taking time out of your day for watching C-Roll Productions. Peace.